The Old Fisherman and the Sea. The old man had been fishing for as long as he could remember. He had spent most of his life on the sea, learning its moods and rhythms, and had earned his living from the bounty it provided. But now, at 84 years old, he had not caught a fish in 84 days. The old man lived in a small village on the coast of Cuba, where he was known by everyone as El Viejo, the old man. His small shack was filled with mementos from his life at sea, fishing nets, ropes, and an old harpoon he had used to catch the biggest fish of his life. But now the shack was empty, except for a few supplies he had managed to scrape together. Each morning, the old man set out in his small boat, rowing far out into the Gulf Stream in search of fish. He had always been able to find them before, but now it seemed like the fish had vanished from the sea. One morning, the old man rowed out further than he ever had before, until he was far out of sight of land. He knew that he was taking a risk, but he was determined to catch a fish, any fish, to prove to himself that he still had what it took to be a fisherman. As the sun began to rise over the horizon, the old man saw a school of dolphins jumping and playing in the water nearby. He watched them for a while, marveling at their grace and agility. But then he saw something else, a flash of silver beneath the surface of the water. It was a large fish, bigger than any he had ever seen before. The old man's heart raced as he readied his lines, hoping to catch the fish before it disappeared. He cast his line and waited, watching as the fish circled his boat, teasing him with its size and strength. But the old man was patient and skilled, and he knew how to play the fish, waiting for the right moment to reel it in. For hours, the old man battled with the fish, pulling on his lines and trying to wear it down. His hands were raw from the strain of the fishing line, and his back ached from the effort of holding the rod steady. But he refused to give up, knowing that this was his chance to catch a fish and prove himself once again. As the sun began to set, the old man finally began to make progress. The fish had tired, and he was able to pull it closer to the boat. But the fish was still fighting, thrashing and splashing in the water, trying to break free. The old man knew that he had to be careful. One wrong move could cause the line to break, and he would lose the fish. Slowly and steadily, the old man worked the fish closer and closer to the boat. Finally, he saw its silver body break the surface of the water, gasping for air. He knew that this was his moment, and he reached out with his harpoon, plunging it into the fish's side. With a mighty heave, the old man pulled the fish into the boat. It was the biggest fish he had ever seen. A magnificent marlin, over 18 feet long and weighing more than 1,000 pounds. The old man sat back, exhausted and elated, as he admired his catch. But his joy was short-lived. As he began to row back to shore, he noticed something in the distance, a dark shadow on the horizon. It was a shark, attracted by the scent of blood from the fish. The old man knew that he had to act fast to protect his catch. He quickly pulled up his lines and lashed the marlin to the side of his boat, hoping to keep it out of the shark's reach. But the shark was relentless, circling the boat and trying to get at the fish. The old man searched his boat for any weapons he could use to fight off the shark. He found an oar and began to hit the shark with it, but the shark was too powerful. It bit off large chunks of the marlin, devouring it piece by piece. The old man felt a sense of despair wash over him. He had fought so hard to catch the fish, and now it was being taken away from him by a shark. But he refused to give up. He knew that he had to keep fighting, no matter what. For the rest of the night, the old man battled the shark. He used all of his strength and skill to keep the shark at bay, even as it tore apart the marlin. The old man was exhausted, but he refused to give up. He knew that he had to protect the fish, even if it meant risking his own life. As the sun began to rise, the old man saw that the shark was growing tired. It had eaten most of the marlin, and now it was slowing down. The old man seized his chance, grabbing his harpoon and plunging it into the shark's side. The shark thrashed and struggled, but the old man held on, determined to kill it. Finally, the shark stopped moving, and the old man collapsed on the deck of his boat, exhausted and victorious. He had protected his catch, and he had proved to himself that he was still a great fisherman, even in his old age. As he rowed back to shore, the old man was filled with a sense of pride and accomplishment. He had caught the biggest fish of his life, and he had fought off a shark to protect it. He knew that his village would be amazed when they saw what he had caught, and he felt a sense of joy knowing that he had proved himself once again. When he reached the shore, the old man was greeted by a crowd of villagers, all eager to see his catch. They marveled at the size of the marlin and praised the old man for his skill and bravery. The old man smiled, feeling a sense of satisfaction that he had not felt in years. As he lay in his bed that night, the old man thought about the day's events. He knew that he had been lucky to catch the fish, and lucky to survive the shark attack. But he also knew that he had earned his victory through hard work and determination. He had proved to himself, and to the world, that he was still a great fisherman, and that he had many more years of life left in him. And so, the old man went to sleep that night, dreaming of the sea and the fish that still awaited him. He knew that he would never stop fishing, no matter how old he became. It was his passion, his livelihood, and his life, and he would never let it go.